And this is more like it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This week we're in a different location for a different type of video. So previously we've looked at building your running body with the strength and conditioning workouts, which by now hopefully you've worked through and your body's in good condition. So now we're going to look at building your aerobic engine. Okay, so for me, I've spent a couple of years injured with irregular training, and over that space of time I've lost a lot of my aerobic fitness, and I'm still able to go out and push hard and run fast uphill and these things, but for limited periods of time because I'm using primarily my glycogen. I'm burning through that quickly and that only ends one way. I need to get back the aerobic fitness that will allow me to run for longer periods of time at faster speeds, utilising oxygen and primarily body fat. So how do we do that? We need to take the time and the discipline to build the base first of all. So we're all familiar with the training zones, the heart rate training zones 1 to 5, and there are different models, but we'll keep it simple with zones 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, which you can see on the screen now. Okay, zone number 1 is the recovery zone. So super light pace, very low heart rate. There's not a lot happening here other than some blood going to the legs and your body's moving a little. Zone number 2, the aerobic zone. This is where you're burning primarily body fat and you're using oxygen as your fuel source. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Zone number 3, we're working a little bit harder. The heart rate is a little bit higher and we're beginning to use more glycogen along with body fat as our fuel source. The effort is a little harder. It's still not race type efforts or tempo interval type efforts, but you're working harder. Zone number 4, this is where we're doing our tempo runs, we're doing our longer interval based runs, and in this zone is where you're going to find the lactate threshold. This is where we like to train because we're pushing hard, the heart rate is high, we're breathing heavily, and it feels like we're training. So we all like zone 4, but it's not for now. And lastly, zone number 5. This is where we're pushing super hard, our heart rate is at its maximum, we can only sustain this for minutes at a time, 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, and this is where lactate levels are rising out of control and eventually our body has to stop. So how do we go about finding out our specific heart rate zones? There are various ways. The most accurate way is in a laboratory, but it's not always feasible for people. So a useful tool, a really useful tool which will give you a good guideline if you use Strava, you can go on to the page there and enter your maximum heart rate, and you can enter a current 5k or 10k or half marathon race time, and it will give you a fairly good breakdown of what each of your zones should be specific to you. So over the next 8 weeks I'm going to be focusing on just building this base, and if you want to join me, the steps that we're going to take: first of all, establish your zones, which we've just spoken about. Second, we need to take a baseline measurement. Now for me, I like to use like a 40-minute course. It can be flat or it can be a climb, whichever you prefer, but the important thing is you remain in zone 2, which we've already established, and you're going to put that zone 2 alarm onto your watch. So as soon as you go beyond zone 2, your alarm tells you slow down, and you're going to see how far you can cover in 40 minutes. So once we have that baseline measurement, we're going to spend the next 6 to 8 weeks running only in zone 2. It's going to take a lot of discipline. I know it because I already started. The first few runs, staying in that zone, especially uphill, you're going to find you're going to have to start walking. And over time, you'll become more efficient and you'll move faster at that speed. Now what's actually taking place there is your body's becoming more efficient at using oxygen and body fat. Within the muscle cells themselves, you're producing much more mitochondria, which are the energy factories within the cells basically. so you'll produce more of them and you'll produce bigger and stronger mitochondria. Now we still need to stress the body somehow to get a training effect, so for that we're going to use volume rather than intensity. So whatever your volume is now, stick with it for the first couple of weeks, and then we're going to add 10% each week for the following 6 weeks. And at the end of that 8-week period, we're going to retest using your 40-minute test, the same course, try to replicate the same conditions if possible, same hydration, same meal before, be as well rested the night before, all of these things. Keep it as equal as possible. And hopefully what should happen, at the same heart rate, you should be travelling much more distance. Once you've survived those couple of months building that base, we'll reintroduce some quality work up in zone 4, maybe 10% of your volume in the first couple of weeks, and we'll take that up to 20%, but the rest of your runs will still be done at zone 2. And this should be something that is ongoing. It's something I see with clients all of the time. Maybe for example somebody who on race day they can run 10 kilometers in 40 minutes, but they're out doing their recovery runs at 45-minute 10k pace. It's too fast. The body isn't recovering, they're missing that aerobic effect, and they're not improving and getting the results that they could do if they had that polarized training, the high intensity and the aerobic base building to go with it. So think of it as an experiment for a couple of months, but it's something that you should implement into your training long term. For 80% of your runs should be in that kind of zone. So I'm going to share my data with you over the next couple of months. I'll check in with you, we'll have a look at my Strava and things, and feel free to comment, feel free to send messages and let me know how you're getting on. If you have any doubts, any questions, please just ask, and we'll see where we are come time for the racing season starting again. We'll all have a bigger base, we'll all be running faster, stronger, injury free, and we'll have as many races as we want to choose from. So as always, please like, subscribe, share, all of these things, follow along on the different social media channels, and already you can see the results of some of my runs on my Strava account. The link is on the screen now. See you next week.